Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1039, written by Stu For You. Atlantis is a mythical place. So this glitch I witnessed happened in June 2022, when I was on a work trip. It still bothers me and makes me question it to this day. I work as a private stewardess on board a motor yacht. This job requires me to travel very often, so I spend a lot of time at Atlantis Resort on Paradise Island in the Bahamas. One day when I was off, my crew and I decided to go to the beach that is part of the Atlantis Resort. Only people staying at the hotel or marina can access it. It was myself and two of my other crewmates who decided to go. Our boat was docked in the Marina Village, part of the resort, but the beach was about a 20-minute power walk through the hotel casino and breezeways. So we left the boat, and the first place we had to walk through was the casino. Mind you, there were a lot of stairs to climb just to get into it, probably about 50, and many other stairs throughout the walk. These two crewmates are good friends of mine, and we're always talking and making jokes with each other. We talked pretty much the entire walk. As we're walking through the casino, I noticed a lady maybe in her mid-30s standing near a machine with a stroller, digging through her purse looking for something. She stood out to me because I really liked the athletic dress and gym shoes she was wearing, although I usually like a lot of people's outfits, so it wasn't a weird thing for me to notice. I didn't feel the need to point her out to my crewmates because they were both guys and wouldn't appreciate her outfit as much as I did. The three of us continued walking at a swift pace through the casino, the lobby, and the outside breezeway paths, many random stairs. Eventually, after a solid 15 minutes of walking, we approached the kids' arcade and daycare center, and as we walked past it, I was shook. The woman in the athletic dress and stroller was in front of us, waiting in line at the daycare, as if she had been standing there for a bit. In my mind, I thought there's no way she could have gotten there before we did. There's just no way. There are way too many stairs for her to have done it by herself, especially with a stroller and a small child in it. What gets me is that it seemed as if she was standing there waiting for a bit. I thought about when we walked past her in the casino, she was rummaging through her purse looking for a phone or something and had no intentions of leaving right after we passed. I didn't say anything to my crewmates when we walked past her because I was making sure it was definitely her. As soon as we walked past, one of my crew members went, "Is it just me, or was she in the casino when we left?" I couldn't be happier when he said that because it was confirmation that I wasn't the only one who witnessed this. He and I both noticed her and thought the exact same reasonings as to how it would have been impossible for her to have beat us here. It was a really strange coincidence, and I just do not think she could have walked faster than the three of us, especially with a stroller to push and carry up and down the stairs. Since we spend so much time at Atlantis, we are for sure certain that the way we walked is the fastest way to get there. If there were any shortcuts, we would know about them. He and I still talk about how weird that encounter was. The whole time we were at the beach, we were discussing how the only logical explanation was that it had to be a glitch in the Matrix. Anyone else experienced this or something similar? It bothers me so much and I need to know the truth. Case notes for file 1039. Atlantis is a mythical place. So the only explanation I could think of the mundane variety would be some sort of elderly or disabled shuttle and elevator service. But you mentioned in the comments that there are elevators, but they're very slow. So it doesn't seem like this would be possible, and obviously just going up the stairs wouldn't be enough. You need to walk the rest of the way as well. Power walking, as you say. So could an old lady with a stroller beat you in that distance? Unless there really is a shortcut that cuts through the whole thing that you don't know about. Thing is, there aren't a lot of options here. It can't be astral projection, because if you project your soul, you're not going to also project your kid as well, and the stroller. That physical matter, I don't think you can project things like that. Like the other story where the grandma was driving in a car when she's supposed to be in Mexico. No, that doesn't fit. Now is it multiversal peering? That's a bit more possible, but it's still very odd. Why would she be in the same place, dressed the same way with the stroller, but beat out the other copy of herself in a different universe? It's conceivable, small differences, butterfly effect and all that, but outside of multiversal peering, I don't see it. I don't think it's a doppelganger either because of the child. The child is what really shifts things. Multiversal peering is harder to place as well because your coworker also saw her both times. So he would also be appearing as at the same time in the same universe. It's altogether rather weird. So in a nutshell, I think Atlantis stumped me. I kinda wanna go gambling now though. Case file number 1040, written by Tainted Gray, When Time is Not Linear. This happened about 16 years ago, and I still don't know how to wrap my head around it. So, my friend and I were sitting on my brother's bed watching TV, just chatting and hanging out. My brother had a box of metal BB pellets on the bed that we didn't bother moving because he had his stuff everywhere. While we were hanging out, my big German Shepherd Guinness came running into the room playfully and jumped onto the bed, causing the box of BB pellets to flip over and scatter everywhere. I still remember the sound of them hitting the hardwood floor. However, as this was happening, it was as though time reversed, literally rewound, and my dog ended up back on the floor as if he jumped down backwards, and all the BB pellets reversed back into the box. Even Guinness had a look of confusion on his face and he ran out of the room. When we looked down, there was absolutely no pellets on the ground, and the box was closed and secure on the bed. My friend also remembers this in vivid detail. Otherwise, I would probably convince myself it was a weird dream, but we both experienced it and remember it all these years later. We were probably 13-ish at the time. Anyone else ever experienced something like this? Case notes for file 1040, When Time is Not Linear. So our perception of time is linear, but it's the same way as watching a movie. The standard pathway to watch it is from start to end, but you can rewind it, you can jump to different segments. And the most interesting thing to me is the concept that reality is buffered, but also buffered within different segments. So it's not like a movie exactly. It's like there's a whole movie playing out, but in localized segments, time can be manipulated. It's like in an MMORPG in a server-based grid, and there's different grids. So if you're in a specific grid, there's a certain server responsible for that grid, and you can make alterations in that zone that won't affect other zones outside of it. And it's kind of like this in physics. We all have our own reference frame, and it's tied to the speed of causality, which people know as the speed of light. Can the grid be shrunk down smaller? So, localized events in a reference frame can happen in a much smaller environment. If so, that would explain a whole lot of time anomalies, because it literally can just be manipulated from the server center. A developer could just say, well, in this grid, where you and your friend were with the pellets and the dog, they just rewind time. It could be as simple as a couple clicks of a button, because reality was already written. Even if it isn't buffered at that point, you already experienced what happened, so it could just be rewound. The thing is, it would mean that in that area, that localized grid, time would be different than the outside world. The thing is, it's just a few seconds, so you wouldn't even, unless you were trying to measure it with an atomic clock inside and an atomic clock outside of that reference frame, you would never know. You lost a few seconds, you can never quantify that. There's no way to do it. So that actually makes a whole bunch of sense. It fits perfectly well. How cool. The only real question then is, why did it happen? Was it an error, or did someone actually choose to do that for some reason? Is there a reason why the pellets couldn't fall on the floor for some reason that would somehow injure you, maybe? Someone would slip on it and bang their head and die? And then how does it fit into quantum immortality? Because, what does it matter if you die in one copy of a quadrillion Googleplex copies of in the multiverse? It doesn't seem to make any difference. But maybe there's a lot more going on and it's all interconnected. I can just try to piece individual components together, and the picture isn't entirely clear when you try to combine it all, but I understand a lot more than I did when I started, that's for sure. We all do now. Case file number 1041, written by Sparklecheetah, My Multiversal Genes. As a Floridian, it's hot as fuck here, so I was moving my winter wardrobe into the boxes where my spring and summer clothes live for the winter. I usually go through my closet a few times a year, and it was time for a day of reorganizing. Long story short, I was refolding my stack of jeans. I own about 8 pairs of jeans. I noticed a pair that I had literally never seen before in my life. I know every pair of jeans I own in great detail. I didn't own a really good pair of jeans for the past 6 or 7 years, so I spent the last 2 or 3 years purchasing great jeans. This pair was a dark wash, size 2, extra long length, bootcut mini flares from Zara. Every time I looked in my closet, I saw these jeans and assumed they were the pair of size 3 extra-length dark wash bootcut mini flare jeans I had from American Eagle. I could tell the cut of them, although the same, were very obviously different. I even remember I purchased the American Eagle jeans on sale, BOGO half off, with a pair of distressed skinny jeans. Like I said, I know my jeans and their silhouette very well. The American Eagle jeans weren't denim, so I really never liked the stretchy material and never wore them. Anyways, I went to refold my jeans to make them look nice, and when I held these up, for some reason I stopped breathing. I've never seen these before. The length of the Zara jeans is also a few inches longer than the American Eagle jeans. They were folded in the exact same way I folded all my pants and were in the same place in the stack that the American Eagle jeans were always in, third from the bottom. Am I just losing my mind? As silly and small as it sounds, I just can't stop thinking about it all. Case notes for file 1041, the Multiversal jeans. So I only own 2 pairs of jeans, well, 3 now. I just bought another pair because the other ones were ripping apart. And I can say, being a minimalist and not owning a lot of clothes, if I just saw another pair that was in my closet, I would be completely stumped. And yeah, you say, it's a small thing, but it's impossible. It's like the frozen peas in A Different Story. Someone broke in just to put frozen peas in your fridge or freezer, or someone broke in here to leave a pair of pants that fit me. So a simple transfer from a different universe, and one of those copies that you had pairs of pants that fit you because they were yours, you actually wore them over there. And over there, they're just missing. It's kinda simple. And now time for the quote of the day. There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow man. True nobility is being superior to your former self. Ernest Hemingway. It's like the first time you go to the gym, people will often be afraid because they're going to compare themselves to other people that have been there for years. And, maybe they're overweight, maybe they're not very strong. Some people go to the gym and they can't even bench press the bar, just the empty bar. Is that wrong? Are you bad because you're not as strong as other people? No. We all have a base template that we start off from genetics, our life circumstances, life, as they say, life isn't fair. So if you're going to compare yourself to others, you have to compare their entire life path. Did you start at the exact same point in time? Did you have better parents? Did you have more money growing up? Did you have better genetics? You never got sick? You just had better teachers? There's an infinite pool of variables to choose from that could determine or influence where someone ends up in life. That doesn't mean don't strive to improve, of course not. Life isn't fair, but even if you're dealt a bad hand, make the best of it. And that's where it comes into place. Instead of comparing yourself to people around you, you'll never be the best. You could be Larry Wheels, who, if you don't know, he's a bodybuilder, powerlifter, he's extremely strong, probably one of the strongest in the world, and yet he'll go into competitions for arm wrestling and be humbled by people that are just so much better in that field. So even if you're the best, the #1 in the entire world in some area, you're not better than everyone else. You're just better in that one specific area. The real goal is to better yourself. And yeah, you can still consider where you stand, like in a general sense. If you can run a marathon, you can appreciate the fact that, yeah, most people can't run marathons, so that's good, that's impressive. But it's a difference between comparing yourself to individual other people versus like the macro statistical scale to have an idea of where you're at. That's fine. I think that's healthy, but just try not to focus too much on people that are at a more advanced stage than you. Ultimately, always strive to make progress, but try to compare yourself to who you were yesterday. If you're better than who you were yesterday, you're doing well. And just keep on doing that, and yeah, eventually you'll be truly amazing. When I look back at where I was at when I started the channel over 3 years ago, I've come a long way. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.